Everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here. Welcome back to the train room for a very cool tutorial video. Guys, in this video we're going to talk about how I run the beautiful collection up here, how my track is wired up so we can run conventional, pre-war, post-war stuff, TMCC, also DCS, all together in harmony. So here we go, everyone. All aboard. All right, guys, so I rewired this layout primarily to run conventional trains. Can you believe that? Conventional trains up here again. We actually ran my GG1 last Monday during the live stream. It was just a lot of fun and, had a really good, reaction to that. So I do miss running my conventional stuff up here. So I've rewired everything up here to run conventional trains. You can run TMCC, DCS, even pre and post-war stuff without hurting anything up here, like my TIU or the TMCC brick. So everything is working together in harmony, which is awesome. But the reason why I had to change everything, guys, to run conventional was because I was using two Z1000 bricks going through my TIU, out the output to the track. And to turn on and off track power, I used this switchboard right here. This was track 1, and this was track 2. So if I wanted power to the track, you flip that up. You have 18 volts going to your track. Track 2, right there, 18 volts. You want to turn off track power. There you go. Now that became so annoying having to be on this side of the layout to run my switchboard. You couldn't just, turn it off using the remote or whatever. So I got kind of tired of that, honestly. The other thing too with this board, I ran a lot of my accessories through it. So I ran all these. They say W was a whistle that I had. Ice was the ice house. Milk, I had a milk stand back there. So I have had this switchboard for a while, but it was time to upgrade it and do something a little bit better. Now, eventually I'm making my own switchboard again to run accessories, and that'll be a separate video. But as you guys can see, just having those switches turn on and off the track power is really, really annoying. And also the fact that all that power was going through the TIU, through the input, out the output, it was slightly scary. I didn't want to fry my TIU. All right, guys, so I run my layout a little bit differently now. So as you guys will see, I'll show you the transformer setup and how this layout works on the other side as well with all the wiring. But basically, we're going to utilize a conventional transformer just like this right here, and we're going to run the outputs to our track. So it's going to say common or COM. That means common ground. That's your outer two rails. And then we're going to see VAR AC, variable AC. That goes to your center rail. That applies power to your track. Now, how do we get all the command control features to our track utilizing a TIU? Well, basically, you would plug in a Z1000 brick to the auxiliary input of your TIU, and then you run your outputs for track 1 to track 1, and then your outputs to track 2 to track 2. Now, when you apply power to your track, like that, basically it's just powering up your track, and then the TIU is going to send DCS signal through the track, not power through the TIU, which is really cool. I've heard this mode being called like unlimited mode because you could run as many amps as you would like on your track. You will not hurt the TIU. And there's also another one I've heard it called signal mode before. Basically, you're just using auxiliary signal through the TIU, not putting any power through it, so you're not going to hurt your TIU. Now, how does the TMCC work as well? Basically, you have the ground port on the back of the TMCC brick, and that is hooked up through a common ground. We'll talk about that in a second. That common ground is wired through all the tracks. All the tracks share the same phased ground. And then we plug that into our TMCC brick, and that's how the TMCC brick sends signal. It's kind of like a loop or a circle, think of that. It basically, your remote talks to your brick and then back to your engine. It's kind of like a cycle of radio signal. It's a little bit different than DCS. DCS mostly sends a signal through the track. I know there is a radio signal being produced by the DCS TIU itself, but all the signal is mostly sent through the track. So guys, I'm going to show you the power side, and then we'll go to the wiring side. All right, guys, so here's the powerhouse of the entire layout. This is track 1, this is track 2, and this is an MRC Pure Power Dual. These came out in the late 90s or so. They're fantastic transformers. If you guys ever see them, definitely pick them up. And on top, we have these beautiful analog gauges right there. We have amps, volts up top. And if you have a short, guys, you'll see the ammeter just peg over here, which is a helpful tool to see if you have problems and such. I've used this transformer a lot to troubleshoot. On the back, I forgot to mention, it has a breaker over here a breaker in this corner, and then a breaker for the accessories in the back. So this thing is highly protected. It trips very, very fast. And if you overload, it also trips, which is fantastic. So dual for 2 handles. We have 2 tracks, track 1 and 2, and we can fire these up. Now, my only complaint, guys, right now I cannot see the gauges to get to 18 volts, but I found out it's about 45 degrees forward. So what I'm going to do is actually make a digital voltmeter panel and ammeter panel that will be on my right over here on this side of the platform right here. So that is in the works. That's going to be in a part 2 video for sure. But the way this is set up, guys, I can run conventional right now, just, power it up, or I can just give this to 18 volts and hook up my DCS remote or my TMCC remote, which is right here, and we're rocking and rolling. So anyways, guys, I'm going to get you to the back side of the panel so you can see how everything is wired up. All right, guys, so here's the behind-the-scenes wiring of how this layout works. Here's the MRC dual that we talked about earlier. Here's my DCS TIU being powered with the Z1000 brick. There's an auxiliary barrel jack on the TIU that's being powered with the Z1000. And then back here we have the TMCC brick. Now, guys, on the MRC dual, we have 6 options or 6 terminals on here. Now, anything that says common, those are our grounds. Anything that says track or doesn't say track, I think it just says output, those are our hot side. So track A and common, that's one track. That's our center rail, outer rail. Right here, this is our accessory send. This is our accessory ground. Then over here, we have our common or ground for track 2. That's our outer rails. Track B, that's our inner rail, just to understand where things are going. Now, if we zoom out here, these wires from the transformer minus our 2 accessory, don't pay attention to these. They're just plugged in, parallel wired to the layout that I can just bust in accessories where I want them. But these 4 wires, 1, 2, 3, and 4, travel down to this crazy terminal brick right here. All right, guys, so here is the terminal brick that I made up, and we're going to concentrate, one side of the terminal brick at a time so it doesn't get too confusing. So right here we have our 2 wires coming out of the transformer into the terminal brick. We're going to look at this side first. These are the hot terminals right here. I color-coded them with red. Then these are the grounds. The black are all grounds. Now, this wire is coming out of, let's just call it that track A output, and this is the common coming out of the transformer. This power runs across this, runs through here, and out to these 2 wires. Now, what are these 2 wires right here? One of the wires goes directly to the center rail of my track. The other wire goes to the red output of the TIU. Now, the reason I'm doing that is so that the TIU can send signal through my track. That's why they're bussed together here. And the TIU is sending signal through this and then out to the track. Next, we have our commons. This wire is coming directly out of the common of track A, going across here, going to the common outer rails of my track through this wire right here. Then this is coming out of the output of the common of the TIU. The reason why we do that, guys, is that the TIU is now in auxiliary mode or unlimited mode, and it's just going to be used to send signal. As you can see right here, if I flip this up, we have our fixed outputs being sent to this terminal brick twice. We have fixed output 1, then over here we have fixed output 2. Now the same thing over here, guys. Let's just call this track B. We have power. Notice how it's red right here. Power from the MRC is going through here to the center rail of our track, and also the red output of the TIU. Over here, this is the common. This is going to the outer 2 rails of our track, and then also the black output of the TIU, also known as the common. Now, in the middle, guys, the reason why these are all connected together is because they're all ground. We're utilizing the same transformer to power this whole layout, so it shares one common ground. So what I did for the grounds, I took this and made my own terminal brick here, or terminal bar, jumper bar, to go across all of these to make sure all of our grounds share the same ground, which is the MRC dual. So guys, all of these grounds here are now phased. All of them go to a common phased in ground on the layout, which is the MRC dual. And because of that, I was able to run this terminal bar across, jumper bar all across, making one common ground on the layout, which leaves us this terminal in the middle to send to the TMCC brick. Now, TMCC sends signal through the ground. So if we trace this wire, you guys can still see that green wire, and it's being plugged into the unity port on the TMCC brick, which is right here. Now, it's so important to have a phased in ground, guys. You can have so many issues if you don't. You can blow transformers and fuses. It could potentially blow the panel out in your house, from what I've heard. So everything here is phased in. We're also getting a little static signal there. That's what that means. You're getting signal up top. One last thing, guys, about the TMCC setup here. We've got the serial port adapter accessory provided by MTH plugged into the TIU. So if we trace that wire, it goes all the way back here and plugs into the back of the TIU. Now, what this allows you to do is actually utilize the DCS remote to run your TMCC or legacy locomotives. So you only need really one remote. As long as you have a TMCC base with the serial port, you also need to make sure all your grounds are phased. So you take the ground outputs of here and make sure they're connected with the ground post of the TMCC brick or legacy brick. It's exactly what we have here with this crazy bus terminal right here. So I can now run my MTH stuff and also TMCC utilizing my DCS remote. Now, the other thing too, if you have a WIU, which is exactly what I have right here, so I can grab it for you guys. If you're using your cell phone with the WIU plugged in, you can also find your TMCC locomotives and run them with your cell phone or Bluetooth device. So I thought that was kind of cool. Alrighty, everyone, that's going to conclude this video on how I run my trains, how I wired up this track plan. And guys, I have an 8x12 layout, so this works great for it. If you have a little bit larger layout, I highly recommend picking up one of those Z4000 transformers. They put out a lot more power, and they're also pretty well protected too. So they have, I believe, digital circuit breakers instead of the ones that pop on mine that are electromechanical. So definitely check out Z4000 transformers as well. You can do the same type of wiring right here for those. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, give a like, leave a comment below. Till next time, everyone, happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See you guys.